How would you like to break free from feeling unworthy? Dan Graham will tell us how to do it. And what's so special about Dan Graham is that he's a transformational mindset coach who helps individuals break free from unconscious emotional narratives like inadequacy, fear, and unworthiness. So, Dan, tell us about what causes the feeling of being unworthy and how can an entrepreneur overcome it?
Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Hello, thanks for having me on the show. And such a great question to start off with. What causes it? And so I would say what causes anything like unworthiness or inadequacy or all of these things stem from the feeling of feeling separate, like a separate entity in this world. And as soon as you subscribe to that you are this separate individual that's got to fight for everything and got to do everything on your own, then you are literally you're subscribing to that. So there will be some unworthiness or some inadequacy in everyone who subscribes to that. Now it will show itself in very different ways. So one person who feels unworthy may overwork and kill themselves in their job in order to disprove that belief that they are not good enough or they are unworthy, where another person will kind of feel unworthy and feel like I can't do this, so I'm not going to try and do it because I'm unworthy. But either way, it's the same dysfunction that's showing the issue. So I'm just going to put that. Thank you.
Thank you. Tell us more about the separateness, the feeling of separateness. Like, for example, when I was young, my entire family used to tell me negative words all the time. And I'm sure that somewhere I have the feeling of being unworthy. And because of that, I overwork, I overdeliver, I people please. I still do that. And I still don't know how to come out of that. How does knowing that I'm not separate from everyone else, how does that help me to feel worthy all of a sudden?
Okay, yeah, so it's a good question. So I think the reason we feel unworthy is because or inadequate is because we feel that we are this separate identity that's got to protect, that's got to keep up, that's got to do well in the world, that's got to compare to others, right? So that's where it stems from. Knowing it doesn't necessarily dispel the inadequacy or unworthiness itself. That's something different that I would say. First of all, it's knowing it. So knowing that you're inadequate. So that's a great start where you say you know that you've got the people pleasers, tendencies and these sort of things and these spin-offs of the feeling of not feeling worthy. So that's step one. You don't know what you don't know, right? So then step two is more understanding. Now you alluded to it a little bit there when you said the people pleasing. So the unworthiness is the unworthiness. Then the people pleasing is a symptom of the unworthiness, right? So that is how so it's understanding how your little mapped personality is created from the feeling of feeling unworthy or inadequate. Right. So and then the more you know, the more you know about how your programming works, the better, because then you've got a real detailed understanding of it. Then it comes to the part of actually transcending it. Right. This one thing's knowing it and the next thing's transcending it. So that is more. First of all, it's understanding that it's not true. It's something that you picked up in your story. Now that sounds really obvious and plain, but when people really get it, then it has a huge impact on your life. So, for example, if I was to say to you, when you were 1 day old, right, and you were a baby in your mom's arms, right, and there was another baby in the same hospital next to you, 1 day old, were you unworthy then? Were you inadequate then? Did you feel less worthy to cry for milk than the baby next to you?
No.
And so that's one way. So at that stage, so then you know that if you were not unworthy at that stage, then it's been learned somewhere along the line, somewhere along the story of you, right, is where that has crept in. I'm sorry, I'm using the word you, but I'm speaking to everyone here, right? So from day one, it wasn't there, right? It's been developed, it's been learned as a reaction to something that's happened or some things that have happened in your story. So, but what's happened has just happened. That they are unfortunate things that happen when we're young. Things happen and we interpret it. And what we do is we then make a story out of it saying, I'm not good enough or I'm not important. My thoughts don't matter. And that's where it gets contaminated. And that's where it sticks with you. So it's understanding that firstly, that's not true. It's not a truth. It's something that child made up to cope. And secondly, it's also allowing the part of you. Now, this is really important. Allowing the part of you that doesn't feel worthy to the little child in you that learned that story to come up and allow those feelings of inadequacy to come through. Because so many people, what you naturally do is you feel like, oh, I don't feel worthy here. So you kind of compress it, push it away, and then kind of put on this stiff upper lip, if you like. But then it's almost like keeping a bubbling pot of water inside the pot with the lid on, and it's just going away and it's going to keep on showing itself up. But to let the feelings come through and transcend through you, it's like taking the lid off the water where the steam can just come out.
Thank you. The other thing I was going to ask was that, as you're growing older, ideally, I think most people progress quite a lot, right? In my case, I have progressed like milestones, like massive milestones since let's say, since my family was telling me, all these negative things about me, right? So I have progressed. And I think most people do progress in a way that you would say over time, you should see this feeling of unworthiness kind of like die down, and you should gradually feel, I guess, worthy, right? But it doesn't always happen. And I find it quite interesting that, you become this like incredible individual, like you learn, you become, the director of a company, and you still somehow suffer from imposter syndrome, and you still somehow people please, and you still get sold to with, because you're worth it. And that appeals to you immediately because you've always felt unworthy, right? So I'm wondering, like, what is your opinion about, let's say, someone who is already in an amazing position, like they're the director of a company, they're selling millions, or even, they sell hundreds of thousands of pounds every year, and they still feel unworthy. What's the blueprint for someone to suddenly feel worthy?
Yeah, and I love that. That just shows your level of self-knowledge that you can pick up on that, because that it's so true that some of the CEOs and some of the million pound, billion pound people making absolute shitloads of money all the time, that it can be from the feeling of inadequacy that's doing it. Because what's happened is sometimes people don't feel good enough, right? And just before I go any further, I should be absolutely clear that it doesn't help them attain their goals. But it sometimes drives them with it, right? With the wrong energy, they can do it without it, right? If someone feels inherently not good enough, it can go in two ways. I kind of alluded to it earlier. You can kind of subscribe to that. Oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to try my best. I'm not going to do my best. I'm not going to apply for that job. I'm not going to go for these sort of things. Or it can be the other thing, that it's so hurtful to you that you feel inherently not good enough, that you will overwork, you will be a perfectionist, you will give every God's energy to try and disprove this lie that you've told yourself, because it's not a truth anyway. We've already established that. So you're almost fighting really hard to disprove something that isn't true, right? So you're in complete overdrive. Now, that will never go away. You what will happen is your mind does very clever things. You think, well, when I get 1,000 followers, that will give me a bit of worthiness. Then when I get 5,000, no, then that will, and then it's the next one, then it's the next one, and then the next one. But that feeling still stays in you. So it's acknowledging that there's a part of you so for these people who are going through that right now, it's really important for them to understand that there's a part of them that is working from a state of stress on their body and stress on their system just to disprove something that isn't even true in the first place. It's not true that you're inadequate. No one is inherently not good enough. It's just something that they've learned. And this is why I'm saying, when you realize that you're not good enough, it's so important to understand how it plays out in your actions and behaviors. Because if you don't, if you don't understand how it's playing out, then you can't. It's like trying to reprogram a computer without knowing what the old programming was, and you know, you can't go into the coding to do everything, change it all around if you haven't got access to the old coding, right? So it's a bit like that. So you really need to understand it and then work on that lie.
Thank you. Tell us more about how would someone work on the feeling of unworthiness? Would they do affirmations? Would they do hypnotherapy? What are the kind of therapies or the kind of like actions and techniques and routines someone can take on a daily basis that would help them to feel a lot better, to feel worthy, and to start attracting what they truly desire in their life? And the reason I ask you this is because I've noticed that maybe roughly a year and a half ago, since I started doing some affirmations that said something like, I am loved by millions of people for the artistry, creativity, expertise, and joy I bring to people, and many more affirmations like that. I have noticed that I look at myself in a different light. And although I'm not sure that the feeling of unworthiness is there or not there, but I'm definitely noticing an improvement in my in how I feel and the opportunities that I attract. So it's like, I don't think it's like a magic wand where the feeling of unworthiness disappears, but I think it's a way of coping. But maybe you can tell us something that works better than this, or a different way that could help entrepreneurs like me to feel worthy faster.
Yeah. So first of all, it's not about better. It's whatever works. And if that's working, and that's, you know, and that feeling of unworthiness is going, then whatever works, carry on doing it for exactly that. But what I would say with affirmations, for example, it is, so my kind of work is recognizing the lie. So recognize, because the thing is we are love, we are abundance, we are joy, we are peace, right? In the deepest level, when we realize that we're not this separate entity that's got to fight for its own existence in the world, right? We realize that it's our inherent nature to feel happy, to feel joyful, to feel that we've got enough, to feel that we are enough, to feel that we are abundant. Right, so that's our natural state. But what's got in the way of it, if you like, the clouds blocking the sun from shining down, right? It's these lies that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe, I'm a victim in the world. All these sort of lies that I call them lies, but these assertions that as a child, as we grow up from the influence in the world around us, that we make a story up, right, which isn't the truth. It is a lie. It probably sounds harsh, but it's only a 8-year-old, 6-year-old child making up that story, but it is. So it's recognizing the lie, because the thing is, so let's say if you have a narrative underneath the surface saying that I'm not good enough, right? Let's say that's your narrative. I'm not good enough. And then you look in the mirror every day and go, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. Right. So probably will be some kind of perk or some uplifting because you're saying something positive. But what's in the unconscious mind is that you're not good enough. So you're kind of almost playing this back and forth between the two, but you don't need to say that you're good enough from my perspective, because as soon as you recognize the lie for what it is, a lie, that goes, and then we are good enough inherently. We don't need to tell ourselves that we're good enough. Well, it's like trying to say that my name's Dan, my name's Dan, my name's Dan. I know what my name is. It's fine. I feel confident in that. And it's a bit like that. So I think they can, affirmations and these sort of things, they can have, they can be fruitful. Like you can get, certainly, like if you say I've got £1 million or whatever, you know, some of these things, they can help you attain that, but they won't necessarily dispel the belief that is lying beneath the surface. But you may have been doing work as well simultaneously, you see, at the same time looking at, because you've mentioned that you've had those sort of feelings of unworthiness and stuff. So just that recognition in itself is part of the process of uncovering it and coming over it. So
I remember when I was younger, when I was about 18, I had discovered this author and he was always like into affirmations. So I started doing these affirmations like I am worthy and I'm good enough and I am intelligent and I am all these different things that I didn't believe about myself. And what I noticed about myself was that gradually I almost got into a depression and I couldn't understand what it was, but it's almost like there was this almost like fight between what I believed to be true about myself and what I was affirming that didn't quite align. And what I'm noticing, for example, now with the affirmations that I'm doing now, I feel aligned with what I'm saying because it's like that's what I'm trying to manifest and it feels true. It feels like I can do it. And even though it's not true right now, but it feels like I'm on the path towards achieving that. And that's why saying the affirmations are empowering as opposed to disempowering. What's your opinion about saying affirmations first to create a feeling of being worthy? Like you just said, the affirmations don't necessarily help, but what would you say is the solution instead? How do you break this lie that you are worthy? With what? What do you do it with? Is it with tapping, with therapy? Is it with like just talking and then figuring out actually that's just a lie? That's the only way, the only path of getting there, that you've kind of like worked with clients and you've discovered that's actually the path, just talking therapy?
yeah, no, so it's a good question, and this one that always comes up. So what it is like I say, exposing the lie for what it is. So your system recognizes that, it recognizes truth, right? So when it's like, okay, it's not actually true that I'm not worthy, but then you like we've discussed already, it's how has your personality developed from this feeling of unworthiness. So you've mentioned people pleasing, that was my thing as well, so let's go with that, right? So then you go into the details of how do I people please, when do I people please, what sort of little cues, and then when these are coming up in your life, it's at those moments, it's recognizing that is the lie. It's not me. It's not my personality. It's not just who I am to be a people pleaser. It's being taught. It's being learned as a coping mechanism for not feeling good enough. Right, so so it's at those moments, and you can kind of pre-rehearse it, because when you get to know yourself, you get to know the circumstances that you will start people pleasing in. You know, like I don't know, the husband comes home from work, or I don't know, whatever it may be for different people. I was a massive people pleaser in my relationship, and it's recognizing those, and then when those circumstances come into your life, it's at those moments going, okay, well, is it true that I'm not good enough? Is it true that I'm unworthy? Or is it just a story? But then it's really, really important not to just ignore that part of you that does feel unworthy. So it's allowing those feelings to arise, but then also not being the knee-jerk reaction and let it go into your actions and behaviors. So you're seeing, and I think pre-rehearsing things is really good. When you're on your own, you sit there and you kind of understand how these behaviours patterns come, because then when they come up to your life and it happens, it's not just, you're not completely unconscious then. You're like, I've planned for this a little bit. I know what's going to happen now, and I know how I should act and behave.
Thank you. Give us an example of, for example, let's say all of these like athletes and people who achieve absolutely incredible things that most people don't get to. How do those people do it? Like, because I had another, mindset coach on here, and he was talking about how actually none of these feelings of unworthiness or inadequacy or fear, none of those feelings actually go away. You just have to simply instill a new belief that kind of operates alongside your old belief, and I guess you just minimize the old one. So how does someone, let's say, who wants to become a peak performance athlete or to achieve to sell hundreds of millions of dollars, how do they get to that in the face of still feeling unworthy? Is it that they just use that as fuel and then they go from there? Or what is it that they put in place to make this happen?
Yeah, so it's acknowledging and knowing yourself, acknowledging the part of you that doesn't feel worthy, not trying to dismiss it, not trying to get rid of it, allowing it, integrating. I don't agree that it never goes, or I don't like, or that you have to replace it with a new belief. But I do think that it becomes just part of integrating it into part of you, allowing it every part of you, allowing them to be as they are, allowing the nerves, just like, I don't know, if you're a footballer and you're taking a penalty kick or something like that, they've done studies on this now. So like the quicker, the more rushed the reaction is, the more they're trying to fight away that moment and just be done with it, the more likely they are to miss. The more they take a breath, feel the feelings of nerves, be in that moment with all that it's got to offer, and look at those demons in the eye a little bit, and hold them, then take action, but action that isn't aligned with what these feelings are telling you, actions which is on the other side of it. So that for me is the big one, is knowing yourself, knowing the story, and making sure you take it along with you on the journey. And then you'll find it becomes like, when you have a cut or a scar on your body or something like that. Obviously at the time it really hurts, it's painful, but over time it's just part of, it's a little mark on your face or on whatever, and it just becomes part of you. It just becomes part of you, and it doesn't have that impact. It doesn't have carry that same weight, if you like.
Thank you. Tell us more about the psychology of winning in the face of unworthiness. Let's say someone who is a peak performance athlete and they're about to, I don't know, make the triple jump or whatever, a really important move, try to score a goal in front of, 50 million people watching on TVs and so on. How does someone get so focused so as to not let the feeling of unworthiness rule over their skill and preparation and whatever else they did to prepare for that particular really critical, important moment of their life that they will be judged for forever?
Yeah. So again, it is that that allowing whatever comes up to come up, because so for example, let's say if I was trying to talk in front of 10,000 people, and do a big speech, right? A lot of things would come up for me. A lot of nerves would come up. Now, if I tried to compress them and just try to beat them off by over preparing and doing all those sort of things, I will get some joy. But you're always going to be fighting against yourself. You're not holding yourself. So it's allowing that part of you to kind of come through and shine through. And then you just realise that it's just a feeling. It's an energetical charge that's going through your body, and nothing more than that. It's not. There is nothing more than that. It's an energetical charge, and it has real strong pull. And it's when you attach it to your thinking, and then this energetical charge is because I'm not good enough, or because I failed before, or because that happened. That's where it becomes a problem. But if you allow that charge to come up, then it doesn't go into there. It kind of just stays where it is as a feeling.
Thank you. Tell us more about what would you like entrepreneurs to know about breaking free from feeling unworthy? From your experience of working with other entrepreneurs, what were the most common things that entrepreneurs put in place in terms of routines or habits or apps that help them to stay motivated and to kind of, I don't know if replace the feeling of unworthiness with something else that was more empowering, that helped them continue their entrepreneurship, whatever their goal was, to the best of their ability.
Yeah, so I think an obvious one is checking that they're in line with their goal. Does it fit who they are, their core? What is their goal out of it? Is it just financial success and stuff like that, which is fine, but then don't expect it to fill up other parts of your life, and so checking that, believing that your happiness doesn't lie in the goal. And I know that I know that sounds counterproductive, but when you, first of all, if you believe your happiness lies in the success of a goal, first of all, you're going to be let down at some way, one way or another. Either you'll get the goal and then you'll realize that you're still pretty much the same person as we discussed earlier, or you won't get the goal and you'll never be happy. So believing but also when you know that your happiness isn't dependent on that thing, it takes that pressure off you a little bit. It kind of lets you makes you a bit more creative, a bit more playful, because you're not so like, this is my life, this is everything I need. There's that little bit of pressure that comes off the situation, and it helps you, enables you to kind of relax a little bit, enjoy the process. But again, if you're not aligned with what you're doing, then that's not. You'll only find it enjoyable to the level that you're aligned with what you're doing. So checking in on yourself. Why am I doing this? What is the goal? What do I want out of it?
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
So I'd say my website, www.dangrahamcoaching.co.uk, or Instagram, Dan Graham Coaching. So quite simple, 2 places really. They're the main places. And plenty of contact through via those channels really. So.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health changemakers to live your healthiest life ever.